Greetings, everyone. We are back with another amazing guest. I want to welcome you to Ancestral Voices We Belong. I am your host, Kim Wheatley, and I am a Anishinaabe from Shawanaka First Nations. And this platform is one that is near and dear to my heart. And so the diversity of guests that I invite to the show come from all walks of life. And today I have a very special guest. It's really my honor to welcome Julian Taylor, who is an award-winning Canadian singer-songwriter for over 2 decades. He's described as a musician with a soulful voice and captivating stage presence that I can attest to, having seen him most recently, who embraces a unique blend of blues, roots, and folk music. His performances have covered just about every province in Canada, but also extend to Europe, United States, and Australia. He has earned 5 Juno nominations, a pair of Canadian Folk Music Awards, and 5 Native Music Award nominations, along with a nomination for the prestigious Polaris Music Prize. I hope you have a whole house to hold all of those awards in, Julian. He's also performed at 2 Winter Olympics, 2002 and 2010. That is so cool. In 2022, Julian experienced a major breakthrough with over 5 million plays on Spotify for his song called The Ridge. I want to welcome Julian Taylor to Ancestral Voices We Belong, where we celebrate identity and belonging through the stories of people of color and the diverse intersectionalities therein. So welcome, Julian.
Hi.
Hi, I'm so happy to have you. You know, I first experienced your music at the Peterborough Music Festival in 2022 in Peterborough.
Oh, wow.
The only remaining free folk festival in Canada, and you blew my socks off.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I remember that. That was a nice day.
Yeah, it was a special day. I got to see quite a few of my friends on stage there, and it's one thing to know what somebody does, but it's another thing to actually immerse yourself in the wash of that. And it felt so intimate, with your incredible storytelling style of songwriting and how you create context for the song that you're going to sing. And then we get to take that journey and then you wrap it up so beautifully and humbly. It really, really created a deep-seated memory of trust and believability
Oh, wow.
in your storytelling. Because storytelling is I think it's how we're going to heal our relations in this country. But that's
I
definitely
think
the
it's how
day.
we're going to heal our relations all over the world, really.
Yeah. Well, Indigenous people in particular in this country are really struggling again. And, we're 11 years into the TRC report. I thought we'd be much further along in just right relations, but I don't really see that. And I don't really feel that is happening at this time. But back to you. Many of your songs resonate on a deep level with your fans, not just me. You have many fans, obviously. And a couple of my favorites are Avalanche and The Ballad of a Troubadour. I didn't even know what a troubadour was. I had to Google it.
You didn't? Or you didn't? You know now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But for me, I believe that one of the best and long-lived ways to communicate is using our voices. Right? Whether
I
it be in
agree.
song or storytelling or filmmaking or roundtables where we actually come in person and sit with each other. There's so much power in that. But you combine both in a way that has created deeply resonating perspectives that I most recently experienced again at the Peterborough tour, Songs and Stories that you did with Logan
Yeah,
Staggs
Market
there.
Hall.
Yeah. Market Hall's such a beautiful venue. It's so intimate.
Enjoy it.
I felt like I was
Yeah.
sitting in your living room listening to you talk about the tour.
That's a pretty big living room.
Well, you're so famous. You probably have a living room that big, Julian. Come on, let's be real.
Oh, I don't. It's a little smaller than that, but it's so,
Right. Your work's been described as...
Happy to be home.
I'm glad you're home. We need to rest every once in a while. You can't be everywhere all the time. And, with a family and commitments at home as well, even though this is your way of supporting them, you need to recharge. Yeah, it's a new year.
I like to do that a lot. I meditate quite often. I try to stretch and do yoga quite often,
Yoga.
and I like yoga. Yeah, I really enjoy it
Hot
and have
yoga?
enjoyed it. So I like hot yoga the best. I'm not cranking the heat in my house like that. I'll go to a class once in a while.
Yeah. I did it once, ended up with a bleeding nose. I don't think it's for me, but
Oh, wow.
yoga
That's
is a body,
unfortunate.
mind, spirit rejuvenator, and it's really powerful. And it's widespread across North America now.
It is. I'm glad. I'm happy for
Yeah.
all ancient medicines and practices for sure.
Yeah. Oftentimes, some of those practices are seen as very gender specific, but yoga is something that any gender can participate in without people kind of judging, oh, you wear tights, oh, you do stretches.
Everybody should do stretches. Let's face,
But should everybody wear tights?
especially as we, yeah, and everybody wear tights. I like them. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them too. They're comfortable. Oh. So, your work's been described as thoughtful, profound, incredible, and even musical genius.
Oh
These are
God,
these are high praises for sure. But what
they
drives
really
you?
are. What drives me?
Yeah, what drives you to
I
communicate in this specific way? Because you are a master storyteller.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I don't think I'm a master storyteller. I've seen, many of people tell us and blow my mind. I've only just tried to tell my story. If it's something that people look at as extraordinary, then I will agree with them in that regard. But I think everybody's still quite extraordinary, and I'm only
Agreed.
using my voice to try to connect with people in a way that in a good way, brought up to try to move through this world and this universe in a good way. Of course, I cannot always say that I have, because I'm a human who's growing and learning as time goes on, and
Mm,
mistakes are part of that too.
yeah.
But all in all, I chose music because it became a friend,
Ah,
at a very early age, and
how early?
you know, well, I was 4 years old when
4.
I was 4 when I was taking piano lessons at home. My dad plays piano, and he wanted my sister and I to take piano lessons. I excelled at them for a little while, but I do have a tendency to get distracted and sort of bored of certain things once I get to a certain place with them.
Yeah,
I
I
was
can relate.
certainly, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can. It's not the greatest trait, but it's something that happens
It
to
is
us.
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna I was gonna say I celebrate that because you know being down a narrow lane does not allow us to truly experience all that life has to offer. So we should have a myriad of interests and consume what we can or maximize the gift of what we're experiencing, but don't leave it only at that. We should be multifaceted. It's shown to us in creation. Creation's very multifaceted, and human beings are a part of creation. So of course we're going to have all of those different maybe uh, interests, I guess. Interest is a good word. Or
Yeah, interest is a
passions.
good word.
Yeah,
Passion, desire,
yeah,
convictions.
exactly.
But earlier on, I guess what happened was the sound of melodies and making up words and strumming chords on a guitar or pounding chords out and melodies out on a piano became a very close friend, and has always been a very close friend that I was able to truly be myself around. And that, I think, is what really started it out for me, and which continues to be my drive, is that as an artist, as a musician, I find that the language of music is one that I speak to in a very profound way, and it enables me to be my truest and form of myself.
Mm,
Allows me to performing, and especially performing and writing, allow me to live in the now that I've been chasing all life, really.
Yeah. Being in the now, very powerful and very much reflection and belief of Anishinaabe people and I guess indeed indigenous people across our great island. Identity is often difficult to assert, and I'm sure in the music industry, you know this to be an absolute truth. Like, what lane are you in? They want you to be in a lane. That's the way the business works, and stay within a specific genre. And yet, your interests, are vast, and people have gotten confused about that. But the intersectionality of that, I think, is a reflection of identity. And I'm wondering, with your ancestral roots, you don't talk a lot about that in your bio, but do you want to share with the listeners how you identify?
Sure. I don't know if it's sure. I'll first answer that. I come from a family that is very mixed. Um, I'm a bit of a mutt.
Be kind.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
I know that words are mean a lot, and I choose that one in a way of taking it back the way that they sort of took back the N word, if you would.
Hear ya. I
But
hear ya.
my background is Mohawk, so Haudenosaunee, Mohawk, Gahaga, or Indian, Mohawk Indian, if you want to. That's what I was told when I was growing up as a child. I know it's
Yep.
not the right vernacular now, but so I'll use Ganagahaga,
Mm-hmm.
So part of my family is Ongwe Ongwe, which means, First Nations or Indian. And some of my family is from the West Indies, relocated to the United States and Canada
Mm-hmm.
when they were quite young. Well, teenagers, I suppose. My dad was a teenager when he moved from Antigua to Indianapolis, where he went to school. He went to Bible school there. My mom was born in Toronto, as was my grandfather. His mother was born in Kanawage, and family there. I have cousins there. I have cousins in Cincinnati, New York City. Obviously, I mentioned the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was born in Jamaica, in Kingston, Jamaica,
Wow.
and my other grandfather was born in the island of Nevis.
Yeah, I can see how your description kind of grabs that all together as an explanation. We're in a time across this country where there is almost like a witch hunt, on pretendians, and
Sure, I've been attacked myself. Yeah.
yeah, as have I. I mean,
Mhm.
I think there's very few of us who haven't been attacked in some way or another or questioned, and the judgments made about us. Uh, don't allow for uh, righting the misperceptions. Well, decisions been made and the colonial constructs
Mhm.
of blood quantum, or who qualifies and who doesn't to have perhaps status or some ridiculous notion like that is rampant.
Sure, I suppose. I mean, um, I I to that I always I think that the way to walk through that is in truth. And so when I tell
Yeah.
people where I'm from, and I always tell them that I was born and raised in Toronto, which is true. Am I part Mohawk? Yes, that is true. Can you trace who my ancestors are? Yes, you may, and you can, because I know who they are, and I'm not really worried about that. What other, the same thing happens in the Black community as well.
Oh, I
Where
know.
are you black? Are you black enough? Are you dark enough? Are you? Whereas in fact, my grandmother, who was a little lighter than her sisters in Jamaica, because she was also part white, was afforded more opportunity than they were, which caused a rift between them at a certain point in their lives. I'm sure that as time goes on, things repair. And it's unfortunate that the rifts exist in families. They exist in mine. They exist in others.
Mm.
It's sort of become part of the journey of being a human.
Yeah.
When it comes down to the pretend Indian thing, I agree. I think it's a horrible thing to take advantage of and pretend that you are something that you are not. Which is why it's an interesting thing for people who are Black and also First Nations heritage, because we really are. We're not new, but there is no
True.
governance, or there is no real space or definition of who we are other than Afro-Indigenous people, or like back in the day, Black Indians. But there's the Métis people have their own sort of governance and their own community in that regard, and then the diaspora of living as a darker person with red skin um, takes into question again um, bigotry and racism and how it actually does operate. A lot of the time, the darker that you are, the more questions arise about who you are. And there's lots of theories. I mean, when you go back to Blood Quantum, the real white lie behind that is that that was put into existence so that capitalism and the colonial way of life was be able to eventually take as much land as they could.
Yeah, and erase
And
our
then,
identities.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter is also, she's obviously part Black, part Mohawk, and she's part white. Her mom's Scottish Irish. And so that bloodline dilutes itself, but that doesn't mean she's not ours. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Which is
I
a,
agree.
which is a very interesting concept, and I think that's where in lies the lie. You know, but if you look at the one drop rule, it was created so that if you had even one drop of Black blood, you were considered Black. But that was another thing, another concept and construct to sort of in a different way create cheap labor. The one drop rule is a colonial construct to create cheap labor after slavery was the first example of cheap labor, of course.
Mm,
And then once that was abolished, the next wave of cheap labor comes into fruition. And the blood quantum rule done to erase identity and to steal land. So
yeah.
when you look at it that way, you have to, I think personally, like I knew who I was when I was born. I knew who my family was. Some people do not and have just found out. I think that if you're honest about these things and saying, "Look, I just found out, and I'm trying to find my way back to my community," I
Mm-hmm.
think that should be respected and honored and cared for. If you do know, like I do, and I say, like I had someone say, you know, that they heard an interview with me saying that my great grandmother was from Gunawagan, and I thought they were being kind when they said that. And I answered back, I'm like, yeah, thanks for reaching out. I thought, and then she said, well, I got my eye on you and this and that, blah, blah,
Oh,
blah. And then I was like, well, you sort of did the research already. Like, that's, and then she's like, who do you know here? And I told her who my family was. And she's like, well, just because you have that one member. I'm like, well, it's not just that one. Yeah, my grandfather was this person's brother and like, it's a whole connective
right.
thing. And if I wasn't in the public eye, you probably wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, bluntly speaking, yeah, you really wouldn't. It's a difficult road for sure, and you know, having a sense of identity and then claiming it in a modern context where we've got the kind of gray zone of intersectionality is something that my children have really struggled with. Uh, being,
Hmm.
like physically presenting as perhaps one group, but not quite dark enough to be in that group, and then identifying with another group, but not quite light enough, to be a part of that group, and then walking in between those two worlds. And this is why I started public speaking. I wanted to defend my children and create space for them. And
Mm,
over time, I've developed some credibility, hard one, and very, very painful process, because you have to
sure.
swallow up a lot of crap. That we live in a world that does not use kindness as the modus of interactions and operations, and people are quick to judge, ostracize, and diminish truth. But I think when it comes to truth and how that is understood, how that is communicated, words do matter. And so the words that my children use are Afro-Indigenous. But I go into academic realms a lot, and I hear this acronym BIPOC, and I cringe because we are not an acronym. And we know it stands for Black and Indigenous People of Color. But how much more breath does it take to state that rather than BIPOC? I think it's really dehumanizing. What word do you use comfortably and identify with?
I use Afro-Indigenous comfortably. When it comes to some sort of, I have to admit, like, I use the vernacular that is suggested a lot of the time, only because um, I have to deal with, those boxes and those constraints. Sometimes I go outside of it because, I think it's important too. But I use the word BIPOC when I describe my radio show because it's easier to be inclusive that way. Um, and
Mm.
I don't look at it as just being, Black people, Indigenous people. It's a whole a group of people that, I don't know anything, and I'll be the first to admit it about what it's like to be Asian or white or um, you know Middle Eastern or Indian from the other East Indian. I don't know anything about it. I mean, I guess I could say I know a little bit about white culture because I've grown up in it and been so indoctrinated with it because
Hmm.
of North American culture.
Yes.
I don't know what it's like to be white though. Um, so the reason I've used BIPOC to describe the show is honestly really just as a way of explaining it to other people so that they might understand it because they've been taught so far to be put in these boxes. If I have a more uninhibited conversation like the one we're having now, I'll use different terms and things like that for sure. At the end of the day, people are people to me, and I'm
I love
very
that.
happy to listen to their stories and learn from them because I don't know any other way to be.
Yeah. Listening is key to change, and if we can put out lots of listening seeds, hopefully they'll root and we'll actually be living within the change. But I don't see that we're there yet. And I wonder what other term they're going to come out with because as a nation of as sovereign nations in this country, we've been given many names and almost all inaccurate. They don't come from us. They've been put upon us. The word Indian we know is not an apt description of who we are because somebody got lost and thought that that's where they landed. And so the people they saw got that name. And we went through some really not nice names. And then we get into the modern day age where to be politically correct, you're using Aboriginal. And now the latest rendition is Indigenous. But
Mm.
I don't identify with any of those. I'm Anishinaabe. And that word is so complex when you break it down. It tells you so much about values, governance, belonging, uh, nationhood, territories that have the blood memory of my people.
Hmm.
And so,
Hmm.
yeah, I have you heard of other words beyond BIPOC and Afro-Indigenous that are starting to come onto the scene?
Sorry, you cut out there.
Have you heard of other terminologies beyond BIPOC and Afro-Indigenous that are starting to come into common usage? Because these are relatively new terms.
Yeah, Black Indian, of course.
Well, that's an old one.
Um, it's an old one, but anything new, um, not really. I would have to talk to my sister. She's probably the one that
More hip, is she?
would know.
She's more hip. I asked my children, they're like, I don't know, mom. But I open up this dialogue because when it comes to belonging and accepting that there are intersectionalities, how could there not be? We're good-looking people, you know? People want to marry us and we want to marry you and we're going to make kids that are a blending of a multiplicity of things. And does that make them any less than because they are? As the world gets smaller and smaller, this truth is just going to have to be dealt with and accepted as a norm and not be quantified or judged or put into some sort of legal framework that controls identity and belonging. In the teachings that I come from, we adopted many people from other nations into our communities. They do not
Mm.
have the bloodline, the genetic bloodline, but they do have the language. They do have the teachings. They do have a, a clan that they belong to or a place of belonging within the circle of community. And it's no less than, being born into the community by blood. So the whole framework of how we as Indigenous people embrace and operate is, I think, far more contemporary than kind of the very Western rigid narrative of you have to be this, or this. You need to stay in that lane. And if you're not quite that. It's something that I feel deeply. And so I was talking about identity, belonging, and how we as communities, Indigenous communities, and as Black communities, and the sectionalities therein, we have our own way of identifying who family is, who belongs, and how and why they belong. And I
Mm-hmm.
hear some of that, in the lyrics that you write, because you're referencing yourself. You're an expert on yourself, and you're exploring the world through a medium that is what I call the universal language. I think music is a universal language. You don't always know what somebody's perhaps singing or saying or intending, but it creates a feeling in you. And I think the feeling is the most powerful aspect of a human being beyond their spirituality. Are
Yeah.
you deeply spiritual?
I would like to think so.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I am. I feel like I've grown up in a way that, the people around me are very spiritual, a
Yeah.
lot of the people that raised me
Yeah.
um,
As a way of
are
life, or as, like you got to attend ceremony, or a combination?
a combination. I mean, on both sides of the family. I
Right.
got to attend ceremony um, with my grandfather and sometimes my cousins and my aunt. I got to consistently go to church because my dad's father was a pastor.
Oh.
So I came from a pretty, my uncle Paul also really later on in life became, you know, a teacher of the Haudenosaunee and Ongoi ways.
Mm.
So I've been surrounded by it. I can't say that I've been overtly surrounded by it. I
Mhm.
am also a product of this time and age where
Of
the
course.
distractions of the modern world are vast, and certainly as a younger child, I would attend powwows and things with my grandfather, and then later on in life, I would expose my daughter to those kind of things. But as a teenager, I pretty much kept to myself and did bad things. So
Being very honest here. I think we've all
yeah,
done bad things, as you put it, at some point in our lives. Otherwise, we're not living life, right? We do the good, the bad, the ugly, and continue to move forward. And that's
yeah, I'm fortunate to be able to move forward. I certainly am.
yeah.
So
In your so is this your career for life, or do you have aspirations to veer off down another lane?
I don't know. We'll find out. I guess.
Right. It's hard.
So far. I mean, I don't know what'll happen. Anything
Right.
could happen. I could, you know, God forbid, I could lose my voice, or I could lose my hands, or things like that. Would
Right.
stop me from doing, or it would, I don't know. I can't answer that question other than is it what I would like to do? I think so.
Yeah.
But life throws you so many different things all the time. So I'll adapt to whatever life throws my way.
You have a very practical mind. You're very practical. Have you always been this way? Just grounded and
I,
practical?
I don't know. Probably not when I was doing bad things as a teenager.
You get a pass for teenagehood.
Do I? Okay, good.
Everybody gets a pass. I mean, what we do in our teenage years is like Vegas. What's done in Vegas stays in Vegas. Yeah, what's done in your
Right.
teen stays there.
A lot of learning. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I found the teen years the hardest part of my life. And I think many can relate to that. But it was also
Um,
the beginning of my life journey. Because I mean, you started music at 4, so you already had an idea of, what you love to do and how to kind of put that out into the world. And certainly, I think your storytelling style of songwriting was probably shaped by your spiritual background and experiences. Oratorship is highly prized in Indigenous communities, certainly in religious spaces and places and spiritual places. Being able to
it
speak
is.
well and take people on a journey, and through the medium that you're using, this is why I call it the universal language. It's married to sounds, to frequencies that even if you don't know what somebody's saying, there's a feeling that is seeded into you that you can just, drift away with. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love the power of that, but I also love the medicine in that. I feel like your music is medicine. Do you see it as medicine?
I do. I do see it
Yeah.
as medicine. Um, it's first and foremost medicine for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think music is medicine for everybody. Music, if music happens to be medicine for me, I share a uh, commonality with every living being, because I am a living being.
Yes.
And the thing that music does to us is quite astonishing. It is a healing thing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a yeah. It's kind of one of the most primal sounds that we experience uh, right from birth. So, in the traditional way, when babies are born, we sing them into this realm from the other realm. But of course, the songs they would have heard before exiting the mother's womb would have been her voice and perhaps what she was listening
Mm,
to or what she was singing. And I wonder
sure.
sometimes if that shapes, once you come here, uh, some of your passions. As I came from a teenage mom, and I think that she was a teenager. She listened to the music that was happening at that time, and when I hear that music, yes, I heard it once I was born, but when I hear that music, sometimes I feel like I remember it from when I was still in the womb. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's wonderful.
yeah. It speaks to the power of the medicine in music. You've sung in a lot of different genres. You haven't, you know, kind of delayed experiencing that and then putting it out. Are there any genres you haven't experienced to date that you'd like to kind of put out there and test the waters?
Um, yeah, there are. I mean, I don't. I'd like to be a better guitar player. I'd like to work on my blues and jazz guitar playing. I don't think I haven't put out a full on blues record, but I've thought about it because the blues are really important to me. I know
Mm,
that the element of blues shows up in my music on a constant basis for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, I've sung classical music. I've just never really released it.
wow.
Um, but I don't look at music that way. I just look at it as music. I just
It's your
I don't
friend.
know how to explain. It's just a friend.
Yep.
My
And you're
friends are
diverse. They're diverse.
multifaceted, and they
Yeah.
contain multitudes, and they're diverse, and music is too. And if I'm going to trust one of my best friends, I should trust in whatever direction our conversations go.
Right. The beauty about music is it lasts forever, long beyond your life walk. Such a powerful legacy gift, really. You
Yeah, I
mentioned,
wonder what'll happen.
I wonder. Me too. I was, I was thinking about your daughter and, when your time comes for you to return to the ancestors and she's listening to your music, do you think she'll learn more about you than she knows now?
She probably will, yeah. But she knows a lot about me. I'm not. I mean, there's certain things that she doesn't know about me, for instance. And maybe one day I hope to get to the moment of truth where we can share some of those things. But yeah, I mean, my daughter and I are close and
It's beautiful.
have always been. And
Is she musically
who knows?
inclined?
She can sing and she can play piano, but um, I don't know how interested she is in doing what I do. She sees how difficult it is. She sees the traveling. She sees, me being away from home. She sees the ridicule and the praise.
Mm,
Um, so I don't know. Maybe that's not something she'll want to do, but at this moment, that's what she's decided not to do this because she wants her own life, and I fully support that. I don't know what she'll decide later, but I will support whatever she decides.
yeah. That's a sign of good parenting, I think. Yeah, there was
Well,
a
let's not go
time.
too far.
No, I think it's good.
It's
Well,
good. I
when
would say
I
it's
grew up,
good.
my parents were really trying to direct me into a certain direction, definitely to elevate beyond what opportunities they were offered, and to always reach a level of excellence in that.
Oh, I like that.
And it's stayed with me. So, I've often been described as that A-type personality, just kind of in your face and very
Mm.
direct. And I thank them for that because what it did is it gave me solid legs to stand on when I'm constantly being put in a defensive position to assert my truth and speak, the beliefs and passions that I carry and the responsibility I have as an ancestral knowledge keeper. And
Hmm.
yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
it's beautiful. If you were asked for some advice about identity and belonging, from say what I sometimes term as an in between, the ones of mixed ancestry who really find it difficult to fit in. Does anything come to mind that you would offer to them to encourage them to, you know, find their roots perhaps and have that I guess that
Um,
truth nudge.
the truth nudge.
Yeah, yeah, because we are who we are, right? And so I don't know, the complexity of digestion when it comes to having mixed ancestry. People just can't get beyond what they're seeing, what they think they know, what they're hearing, and what they should accept through active listening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I guess the advice that I would go back to is to certainly definitely be truthful about what it is you're going through, um, and where you are coming from. I think that that's highly important stuff in terms of, let's say, um, like for me, I'm not necessarily, I know where I come from. I was so fortunate, and I know this, so fortunate
Yes.
that my family, when I was born, not all of them. I mean, a lot of them, people on my mom's side had a really tough, in terms of like, you know, going through the foster care system. A lot of my cousins and things like that have had that issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's a handful of us that really didn't have that issue. We knew who our parents were, we knew who our grandparents were, and our great uncles and aunties. And I was one of those fortunate people to know that and know those people, and I knew them for the majority of my life. Really, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's not true. I don't know how much longer I'm going to live, so it may it may turn out that that is not a true statement, but as of my life is and how old I am now, I knew those people for the majority of my life. My great aunts and my great uncles and my grandfather and those I knew them very well. I had them for a very long time, and I'm very fortunate.
Oh,
Um, so for me, going back to the question, if you hadn't known those people and you're looking for them, that can be a really tough journey. One that I don't have too much um, personal experience with, other than other people that I've known. And what I'd have to say about that is carefully guide yourself through that journey with people that you can uh, trust to be honest with you too.
yes.
This world is very, very sticky and very slippery at the same time, where people can do things for the wrong incentive and wrong reasons. So I think that it's important, if it's something that's pulling you, there's that whole saying where, our ancestors waited for someone like you in their bloodline, and they prayed for that and they sang for that. And now here you are. If you're being pulled that way,
So
like the moon
beautiful.
pulls you, then I think that you should certainly find yourself in that regard. But just knowing that when you find yourself, you have to find your own truth, because people will judge you, and regardless, I mean, people are going to judge you,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of your identity. They'll judge you for your denomination or your gender, or
Your
they'll
clothing.
find anything,
Your
your clothing. They'll find
dress.
anything to it's also the definition of capitalism and colonial success. It's different from. I had this conversation, and this goes back to the Black sort of experience, where what I came to find is that, North American success, it isn't really our success.
Mm.
There's a different definition of ancestral and, ancient success, where we don't necessarily haven't been taught it in the way that we should have been, because we live in this particular society. Now, when you go back to ceremony, when you go back to singing, when you go back to these sort of community driven identifiers, you start to see that the definition of success is different. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really equate to having a successful music career, unless that, for me, my successful music career, it's not a success yet. Sure, for me, it will be a success if I'm able to help other people. So I'm trying to help other people with my radio show, or I try to donate and bring light to charities that are important to me. So I try to explain to people the stories that I have, and use the melodies and rhythms that I have to try to break down barriers and connect that way.
Right.
Um, because those are that's highly embodied into my being as my ancestrals my ancestral being. My ancestors are certainly speaking to me, saying, money isn't. I know that money's what's the word that I'm looking for? It's a definition of success in this culture. I know that, and I
Mm-hmm.
know I need it to survive because of where I live and how the world has, constructed itself. That is inevitable, and I can't escape it unless I go, I guess, and run away from it all, which some people have.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe one day I will. But I've
Yeah.
got a daughter who's younger and learning, and I've got family who depend on me as well. So that makes it a little bit more tricky.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it comes down to what I'm trying to say is that to trust yourself, to trust the calling, to trust the universe, because it's unfolding exactly as it should be, but to learn to trust people, but not everybody, because
Mm.
by trusting yourself, you'll know who to trust,
Yeah.
and to look at success in from a different lens.
Right. Right. Not just one lens, because there are many truths, and all of them are valid. Yeah, that was a beautiful
Hmm.
response and really heart centered. Yeah, I really appreciate your reflections on that. You know, we all
Thank you.
experience obstacles in our life walks that can change the direction that we are going. And so we do look to mentors and we do, want to connect to those we see who are successful or on the road to success or doing something beyond what we have done to this point in time. I
Okay.
wanted to ask one more question and then kind of wrap things up because this has been a very rich dialogue. And, my invitation to you was to reflect the, the very diverse diaspora of who we are in the world. And it seems like people will only pause and make time, which is the most precious gift we can give to another, when somebody has reached some level of success, right? They don't want to hear Auntie June next door who's, got a wealth of information. They want to hear from the award winners. And that doesn't drive me. It obviously doesn't drive you either. You're doing something that is purposeful and full of passion. But do you have a life changing kind of obstacle that maybe changed your direction in life, or have you always been on this path?
Uh, I think I've had many life-altering things that have changed my path and recalibrated it.
Yeah.
I'm Yeah, I don't think I've so in a way, yeah, I've always been on this path. You're right about that, but has this path always been the one that I expected it to be and dreamed it to be? No.
Mm.
Um, the path has lots of obstacles, and I'm one of the biggest ones in that. Yeah, I don't
uh,
know.
yeah. It's an honest, simple answer. It didn't need to be complex. I really want to thank you for spending time with me and giving the opportunity to listeners to see the human side of Julian Taylor and
The human
the
side.
human
That's so
side.
funny. Hilarious.
Yeah. Because people have an idea of who you are based on your stage presence and how you share your world with the world in that medium. It's I love people and I love hearing their
I do
stories.
too.
And those stories, they do influence me and enrich me sometimes or make me feel not so enriched because there's, a double-edged sword out in the world that we constantly have to deal with. But it's been a privilege, and I'm probably not the only one who is a fan. So before we go, I have a couple things I want to do. Could you share how people can follow you and like you? Where are you? How can people find you?
Well, I'm not giving you my address. I'm at home at
Darn
the moment.
it! Okay.
Um,
But the social media channels, are you on all
oh
of
yeah,
them?
yeah. Sure. I mean, best to find me at juliantaylormusic.ca, and you can certainly follow me on Instagram and Facebook and Blue Sky and TikTok and
Oh,
X and
oh,
oh, they're all over the place. It's so
all
crazy.
over. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, good. And of course, like Spotify,
Oh yeah,
iTunes.
yeah. I've heard
Yeah.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
those guys too, right?
That's important as because you are widely available. Okay. So I have this thing in my program where I close the show with RFQs. Now these are
Are
not RFQs. It's an acronym RFQ, not a request for quote, but rapid fire questions. And these questions are just I don't know, flesh out a bit more of how we can see you as not only a human, but as a person of complexity. And they're not meant to do deep dives. You don't need to have major thoughtful answers on that. Just whatever comes to mind. And but they're sometimes light and maybe seeming irrelevant to you, but for me it's fun. So indulge me, please. So
Okay.
here's the first question. If you had to choose one color to wear every day moving forward, what would it be?
Black.
Black. Simple.
Hmm. Well,
Uh,
it's the easiest one.
it's got every color in it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in more ways than one. Um, what country would you most like to visit and why?
Um, can it be? Oh, does it have to be a country I have not been to?
It doesn't matter. I mean, you've been to lots of countries. Maybe there's one you haven't been
I
to
have.
yet.
I mean, I have never ever been back to Africa, and
Ah,
I would like to explore that continent if that makes any sense,
it
because
does.
obviously I have roots there. It's funny, I know more about my indigenous roots than I do of my you know you know African roots, and so I'd like to explore that a little bit more.
Me too.
But I love going to Italy because the food's amazing. So there's that too.
You're a foodie, are you?
Man, I'm not really, but Italy turned me into one. So
Now I gotta go. Are you a cat or a dog lover?
dog, easy. No cats. I'm allergic.
Okay, that's simple. What's your favorite candy?
Sour keys.
Oh, I hate anything sour. I don't know how you do it. Okay, last one. Who should
Okay.
sing? Who should sing?
Who should sing?
Yeah,
Absolutely everyone.
I agree. The whole world should sing. The whole world should sing. Mm. Well, Chimigwech, Nyawagoa, for spending
Yeah,
time with
go
me.
on. Yes.
Julian,
Yes, thank
those were
you.
quick, good answers. You passed the RFQ with flying colors. I'll send you an award,
Oh, thanks, Kim.
but
I
you'll
appreciate it.
have to send me your address.
Uh-oh.
I want to thank you for allowing listeners to experience the magic of you. You are magical. I
Oh,
wish
it's
you every
nice.
success that you can dream of. And I look forward to more great truths from you with your great big heart. So, wishing you well, peace of mind, good long life, and good health always. In
You
all
too.
ways,
Harmony,
Julian.
peace, love, and harmony to you and yours.
To my heart. I'm putting it there. This has been an honor and a pleasure. Be well and take good care.
You as well. Thank you. Honor.
Oh, no. So, this show would not be possible without the amazing support of great sponsors and amazing guests. If you're not following Julian Taylor, please do so now. Go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to his social media pages. Give him some reflections on how he's doing, what captures you. Who knows, you might become part of one of his songs. We just don't know. But we also want to encourage listeners to expand what they think they know about the world through the stories of those who are sharing not only who they are, but what it is that drives the passion of each individual who agrees to guest on this show. I have endless gratitude for the town of Aurora, who is one of the sponsors for the show, also the Wholesome Conscious and Design to Plume. And as always, we are powered by Neighbor Media Studio. So if you have the time and the inclination, I would deeply appreciate if you could like, follow, share, and subscribe to not only the podcast on Spotify and iTunes, but on YouTube. And if you're able to give us a 5-star rating, ratings do matter. And so are your comments. Your comments are welcome. What are you thinking? Who would you like to see? What would you like to hear a conversation about? I'm open to ideas and suggestions. I am your host, Kim Wheatley. It's been an honor sitting with the listeners again. Till next time, be well, everybody.